26 years on the job, 3 LODDs. I've pulled bodies out of buildings that were still cooking off. I don't spook. But that boarding house on Parnell Avenue, I couldn't file that one away. Still can't. You want to know why I put in my papers? Hand me that beer. Thursday night, Station 33 East Side. Checkoff was done. Saws run, SCBA bottles topped, rig cleaned. My probie, Danny Kovacs, was wiping down compartment doors like they owed him money. Kid had 2 years on. Good hands, not much upstairs yet, but he listened. I was in the watch office going through the pre-planned binder. Every third shift we'd pull a building, walk it on paper, talk about where the building would try to kill you. That night, I pulled 341 Parnell Avenue, 341 Parnell, 2-story wood frame, balloon construction, built 1928, converted to a boarding house in the 50s. 8 rooms upstairs, common areas on the first floor. Condemned in 95, plywood over the first floor windows. Second floor still had glass. The pre-plan had a red flag, 3 fires at that address, 3 line-of-duty deaths. 1951, Eddie Callan, Engine 33, my company, fell through the second floor in room 4, crush injuries. 1974, Tom Ribicki, Truck 12, trapped in room 7 during a ceiling collapse. 1992, Marcus Ashby, Engine 33 again, cardiac arrest during interior operations in room 2. I showed Danny the pre-plan, told him what I told every probie. Some addresses just eat companies. Balloon frame means no fire stops between the floors. Fire gets in the walls, it runs straight up to the attic. Void spaces everywhere. The kind of building that lets you think you've got it knocked, then lights up behind you. Danny asked if I was worried. I told him you don't get worried about addresses. You get ready. I went to bed around 11. Couldn't sleep. Somebody years ago had penciled 3 hash marks in the pre-plan margin, 1 for each LODD. I stared at those marks until the ceiling blurred. Tones dropped at 2:14. Your body moves before your brain catches up. Feet on the floor, bunker pants, boots, suspenders, coat. You're on the rig before you finish waking up. 26 years, and my body still does it. Box alarm. 341 Parnell Avenue. Report of fire, 2nd floor. Night clerk at the motel next door saw the glow. Engine 33, first due. Truck 8, Engine 14, Battalion 5 on the ticket. We rolled in under 4 minutes. Streets were empty. Just us and the streetlights. I saw the glow before we turned the corner. 2nd floor windows, orange, but not the fast, angry orange of a room in contents. Something slower, like the building was breathing it out. Heavy brown smoke pushing from the eaves on the Charlie side. Thick, lazy smoke that hung in the air like it didn't want to leave. I established command, Engine 33 taking the attack line to the 2nd floor. Truck 8 laddering, Engine 14 on the supply line. We forced the front door. It was already unlocked, which happens with vacant buildings. Junkies, squatters, kids. Stretched the 1.75 to the 2nd floor landing. Smoke banked down to maybe 18 inches off the floor. I could see the glow from 3 directions, left, right, and straight ahead down the hall. That's when the first thing went wrong. 3 rooms burning. Room 2, Room 4, Room 7. 3 separate fires with no connecting path of spread. No trash line between them. No accelerant smell. No logical ignition sequence. 3 independent fires in 3 rooms that had no business burning at the same time. I noted it. You note things. You don't stop to think about it because the fire doesn't care about your theory. You put it out and let the investigator worry about why. We knocked it down fast. Too fast. A balloon frame vacant with that much smoke should have given us a fight. Should have been chasing fire through the walls for an hour. Instead, the 3 rooms just gave up, like the fire had done what it needed to do and was finished. Battalion 5 came up to the 2nd floor, looked around, and ordered overhaul. Pull the ceilings, open the walls, check every void for extension. I started getting my crew set up. Halligans, pike poles, trash cans for debris, standard work. Dirty, boring, safe. That's what I thought. Safe. Overhaul is the part nobody puts on the recruitment poster. Fire's out, excitement's over. Now you pull ceilings, open walls, drag debris, and make sure nothing's hiding in the voids. In a balloon frame building like Parnell, that means tearing into every wall cavity you can reach. I started in room 4, east end of the second floor, the room where Eddie Callan died in 1951. The floor was spongy, fire-weakened joists underneath. I told Danny to stay near the door and keep his weight on the wall side where the joists seat into the bearing wall. He did. Like I said, the kid listened. I pulled a section of plaster above the chair rail with my Halligan. The plaster came off in chunks, horsehair mix, the old stuff, heavy. Behind it, wood lath nailed tight to the studs. I pried 2 lath strips loose and shined my light into the cavity. Something in there. I reached in with my glove, pulled out a piece of metal, brass, heavy, curved. I turned it over in the beam of my flashlight, and my stomach did something it hadn't done in 20 years on the job. It was a helmet shield. Old style, the brass fronts they used before the department switched to leather in '68, stamped with the number 33. And a name, E. Callan. Eddie Callan's helmet shield, the one that was torn off when the floor collapsed on him in this room. 1951, 48 years ago. They recovered his helmet. It's in the memorial case at Station 33, but the shield was gone, ripped off in the fall. They searched for it, never found it. I held it in my hand for a long time, felt the weight of it. Then I called Danny over. Bag this, don't drop it. Memorial office is gonna want it. Danny looked at it, looked at me. Cap, how'd that get inside the wall? I didn't answer him. I didn't have an answer. We moved to room 7, West End, Tom Rubicki's room. I don't know. I wasn't thinking about overhaul anymore. I was thinking about what I might find. I pulled the wall open in the same spot, above the chair rail, between the second and third stud from the window. The plaster broke clean, and there it was, sitting on a piece of lath like somebody had placed it there carefully. A gold wedding band, small. I picked it up and tilted it toward my light. Engraved on the inside, TR&MR 6/14/69. Tom Rubicki married Margaret in '69. He died in this room 5 years later. When they recovered his body, the ring was gone. The chaplain had to tell Margaret Rubicki they couldn't find it. She asked about it every year until she died. And here it was, inside a wall that hadn't been opened since 1928. I looked at the plaster I'd broken away. The edges showed layers, cream, then pale green, then white, then cream again. Decades of paint. Behind the lath, nothing but dust and dead air. No tool marks on the wood, no patching compound, no indication that any human being had ever put a hand inside that cavity. My hands were shaking. Danny noticed. I told him it was the cold. It was August. We went to room 2. Marcus Ashby's room. 1992. Cardiac arrest during interior ops. He was 41 and ran 5 miles every morning. The department doctor said sometimes hearts just stop. I didn't say anything to Danny. I just walked to the wall, drove the Halligan into the plaster, and pulled. The cavity was there, same construction, same sealed space between the studs, and inside it, a leather-bound pocket notebook. Soft brown leather, the kind that gets darker where you grip it. I opened the cover. First page, in neat block print. Fire count, M. Ashby, EN, 33. Started 4/12/88. Marcus kept a log of every fire he went to. Every working fire, every box alarm, every mutual aid. He started it the day he got off probation. The guys who knew him said he carried it in his coat at every fire. When they went through his effects after the cardiac, the notebook wasn't there. His wife asked about it. Nobody could find it. The last entry was dated the night he died. The address 341 Parnell Ave. The notation beside it, second fell, Ryam 2, working fire. Something wrong with this building. That's what it said. Something wrong with this building. Then nothing. The rest of the pages were blank. 3 items, 3 wall cavities, 3 rooms where firefighters died at this address. Each item was the one thing that was never recovered from each incident. I radioed Battalion 5. Chief, I need the fire investigator up here, right now, and I need everyone to stop touching the walls. The investigator was 20 minutes out. My crew was in the hallway, not touching anything. Danny had the 3 evidence bags on the floor. He kept looking at them and then at me like I had an explanation. I didn't. I was standing in room 3, middle of the 2nd floor, the room my crew had worked from during the initial attack. No history in this room. No LODD, just a room. I was leaning against the wall near the window when I felt something under my hand. A bump in the plaster. I moved my light over it. The plaster was cracked. Not from fire. Fire cracks are jagged. This was different. A clean bulge pushing outward from inside the wall, like something behind it was pressing against the plaster from the stud cavity. I should have waited for the investigator, but the wall was pushing outward toward me, and I had to see. I put my bare hand on the bulge. Cold. Not fire scene cold, the kind that has no business being there. The rest of the wall was warm from adjacent rooms. This spot was cold enough to feel through my skin. Glove back on. Halligan. Fork end into the plaster. Pried. The plaster fell away clean like it had been waiting. Behind it the lath was bowed outward, nails still set, wood bent in a curve that wood doesn't make unless something forces it. I pulled 2 strips free. The cavity. Same construction, same sealed space, original studs, no tool marks, no patches, dust older than my career. And inside, sitting upright on the bottom plate of the wall like somebody had placed it there with both hands, a brown leather bifold wallet. I knew it before I touched it. I knew it the way you know the sound of your own kid's voice in a crowd. I reached in and picked it up, and my hands didn't feel like mine anymore. My driver's license. Raymond T. Wisniewski. My Visa card. My Union card. $12 cash, and the photo of my daughter Katie at her first communion, the one with the crease down the middle because I folded it to fit. I reached into my turnout coat, left inside pocket, the pocket where I've kept my wallet at every fire for 26 years. Every single fire, without exception, empty. I was holding my own wallet, from inside a wall sealed since 1928. I looked back into the cavity. On the rear face of the stud, barely visible in the flashlight beam, 4 pencil marks. Thin, faded lines, hash marks, like the ones in the pre-plan margin. 3 of them were old, crossed through. The 4th one was new. The graphite still had a shine to it. The 4th mark was mine. I put the wallet in my pocket. I don't know which pocket. My hands had stopped working right. I walked into the hallway. Danny looked at me. I must have looked like something because he took a step back. We're done. Get everyone out. Now. Cap, the investigator. Now, Danny. We pulled out. I told Battalion 5 the 2nd floor was structurally compromised and I wasn't sending anyone back up. I wrote the incident report that night, documented the 3 items, personal effects of deceased personnel recovered during overhaul. I didn't mention the wallet. I didn't mention room 3. 341 Parnell was demolished 6 months later. During demolition, no additional items were found in any walls. I checked. The fire investigators' report listed 3 simultaneous points of origin with no connecting path of spread. Cause, undetermined. I didn't tell him what I found. You want to know why I retired? Because that building had a room for me, room 3. And it was already putting my things in the walls. I check my pockets now. Every time I pass a vacant, wallet, keys, phone, 3 times. My wife thinks it's anxiety. It's not anxiety. It's a head count. Danny Kovacs is here tonight. Somewhere. We don't talk about Parnell.